Well, I think people don't understand that if you play against Serral and if you play against Maru and Rogue, it's just it's different things. Sometimes against Serral, most people feel hopeless. It's like you cannot do anything. This guy just plays in a way that he leaves you no opening. Like his scouting is perfect, his late game is perfect. So what are you really playing for? Meanwhile, someone like Maru and Rogue, they do a lot of mistakes. I don't want to like underplay them, but I think it's common knowledge that Maru has some weaknesses, Rogue has some weaknesses. Like Maru.
Hey, SE Historian here. Today I have for you all an interview I've been excited to record for a while now, with none other than Mr. Ricardo Reynor Remedi. Reynor and I had a great conversation ranging from his start in StarCraft to his thoughts on the latest balance patch. If you've been enjoying what I do, be sure to get subscribed so you don't miss out on future uploads. Without further ado, let's jump in to my word with Reynor. So, Reynor, thanks so much for taking the time today, man. I really appreciate it.
No worries, no worries. I'm
Um,
excited.
Same, man. I've been hoping to get you on for a while. So, uh, you know, f- question I ask a lot of people. So, how did you first get into StarCraft? It was from your dad, right?
Well, not really. Like me and my dad, we started together. I was 8 years old, and I had to pick a game for Christmas or my birthday. I can't really remember that. And I don't know. We went to game shop. I think that's how it's called. And I saw StarCraft, and I just liked the box and like how it looked. So I picked it up, and my dad said, "This game is really hard." And that's where I really wanted it. And yeah, so we picked it up together. We started together. He didn't play StarCraft before that, but he knew the game, and yeah, we just started together.
So you were pretty young. How long did it take you before you started like kicking his butt?
Oh, it took me a long time actually. For a year and a half, I was stuck in bronze. It took me a little while. Then I got to silver, and then I actually jumped. Within like a couple of weeks, I jumped from gold to diamond, and then in 1 month, I got to master. So it was like a very, very big jump, all of a sudden jump.
Yeah, that was in Wings of Liberty.
Yeah, I think so. I got to GM. I think he was Heart of the Swarm already, though.
Fair enough. Um, so like what advice would you give to your kid or any kid that like said that they want to become a pro gamer?
Well, I think patience is key because, as I said, it took me a year and a half. I was stuck in bronze, but I didn't give up. I kept going. And I think consistency and just, I don't know, do what you love. If you love the game, you keep playing, eventually you get better. But if you don't like it and you feel like forced into it, and I don't know, if you just don't like it, you're never going to improve. So as long as you like the game and you keep playing, you eventually will improve. You have to be consistent and have patience and be open-minded to learn.
That sounds like really good advice. Um, so when did you realize that like StarCraft was going to be a big part of your life more than just a game?
Well, to be honest, I started realizing it when I first got into Mind Sanity. I was 12 years old. No, 11, I think. I was 11 years old. I wasn't GM back then yet. But as soon as I got into Mind Sanity, I got GM and I started getting my first salary. And yeah, so that's where I said, okay, maybe I can do something out of it. And the first time where I was like, okay, I'm basically pro level now was when I got to top 8 in Valencia. It was 2016. I was 14 years old and I got to top 8. I beat Mana and Vortex that event. So yeah, back then that when I got to top 8, I was like, okay, now we can make something out of it.
Yeah, no, those are some big names, especially for that time period.
Yeah.
Um, so what's maybe you just answered this question, but I guess we'll see. What's the first series that you won that you kind of look back on and think like, oh yeah, I was really proud of that series win?
Well, I remember when I was in my Sanity and I just got to GM, I beat Marine King. So that was a very big achievement for me. I remember everyone in the house was going nuts.
That's sick.
Yeah, I was very proud of that.
Was that like a big tournament?
No, it was like a clan war.
But still,
Yeah,
that's pretty
I
sweet.
was very happy about it. Yeah.
That's dope. So but overall in your career now, what achievement would you say that like means the most to you?
Well, I think Gamers 8 and Katowice, those are the two biggest tournaments. Katowice might mean a little more because it was the World Championship, like the official World Championship. But in my heart, I count Gamersgate as a World Championship as well, because the level of that tournament might have been like the highest level of any tournament we've ever seen. I think because people were just practicing so hard for it, to obviously to the high amount of prize pool, and I don't know, just I felt like people were willing to give it all, and I think you could see it in the games. There were a lot of long games, which means all of the games were very close, and people were, they were fighting tooth and nail.
Yeah, I do recall a number of people like Yuna telling me that like he was saving all his builds for that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for that event, and that makes a lot of sense, because yeah, it was a huge event. Kind of stinks that like your two sort of most significant achievements unfortunately were both without a crowd,
Yeah.
which that's kind of unfortunate, but the tournaments themselves were pretty sick.
Another big achievement is when I beat Serral in BlizzCon. It was semifinals. The crowd was massive there, actually. When I got to the finals, it was 2019. It was my first BlizzCon. I beat him 3-2. That was also one of my biggest achievements.
Well, that's great. At least you got like a taste of that sort of gigantic crowd and big victory.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I got to the finals plenty of times, so
Yeah,
I
of
got to
course.
taste the crowd. I didn't actually win anything with a massive crowd yet, but I'm counting on doing it.
Yeah, we'll see at the upcoming finals or Atlanta.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm glad to hear that those tournaments went like that for you. So one thing I thought was kind of interesting or funny. So it was mentioned a couple times on some streams over the summer that you were playing some games from your grandma's house. And I was kind of just like wondering, does she like understand what you do professionally? Do you think she approves of it?
Yeah, yeah, she definitely approves of it. She's very proud of me. My grandpa too. I know they're very proud. My whole family in general is very proud of me. I don't think she understands the game necessarily, but I know she's cheering for me. I know she's watching the stream, even though she doesn't understand. She's just looking at the supply, and yeah, she's just very happy in general.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a really funny sort of dichotomy, where she wants to cheer you on, but she can't necessarily understand why you're doing well.
Yeah, 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 exactly.
Cool, cool. Um, do you ever get approached by like fans in Italy? Anybody know who you are in the street sometimes?
It did happen. It did happen a couple of times on the street and in the Netherlands. It once happened when I was with Harstem and his wife. We were shopping in IKEA, and one fan approached us and he recognized us and he wanted to take a picture. It was very cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
Huh. So you lived in a few different places. You've visited like many cities around the world. Any area in particular that you visited that you really loved?
I love Korea. Just in general, I love Korea. I think, yeah, every time someone asks me this question, Korea is the first one that comes to my mind. I just love that country. It was so sick every time I went there. It was a beautiful experience.
Anything in particular that you like really enjoyed there?
I don't know. I just like the vibe. I like how people live. I don't know. I just like, it gives a good vibe. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I liked Korea a lot as well. It's that big metro feel, but like people are really reserved and respectful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a cool culture. I really enjoyed Korea myself. That's cool though. That's a good answer. You have any particular travel stories that really stand out in your memory in relation to traveling for StarCraft events?
Well, I remember when I first played in Montreal. That was the first tournament I could do after the age lock, because I couldn't play in tournaments any longer for a while, because since Valencia and Montreal I couldn't play in any WCS or anything because they age locked it to 16 years old.
Mhm.
So I remember Montreal was my first tournament and I lost my bag with my keyboard and mouse and mousepad. Well, I didn't lose it. It was like 6 a.m. and I was a dumb kid and I left it at the airport by accident. So I had to play the entire tournament with, like, someone gave me a keyboard, a mousepad, and a mouse, and I got to the finals 4-3 against Serral. I lost. But yeah, that's kind of funny.
Do you think the outcome might have been different if you had your own gear?
Probably not. He was just better than me.
Fair enough. I mean that's kind of like a worst travel story. Do you have a best travel story?
A best travel story. I don't know. It's just always always pretty much the same, but it's always fun, getting to meet my friends. Then, like we go out and we do our thing. But yeah, it's just fun always, pretty much. And also, you remember that bad stories more.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely stick out more. Um, so you mentioned, I mean, just now that you really love Korea. Would you consider going back to compete in Code S again?
Yeah, for sure. I would like to. I just need to set up the schedule. It's not easy with like Atlanta and Katowice, but I would like to, honestly.
Yeah, definitely seems challenging for scheduling purposes. Um, Hopefully we have GSL again next year, and that'll be
Yeah,
an option.
yeah.
Um, so I guess the big news in the scene right now is the balance patch. A lot of controversy. How do you feel about it?
To be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of it because I felt like Zerg was in an okay spot. Like I don't think Zerg. Cause I say it. I play a lot of I play all the races, right? I play a lot of race, and I say it as a guy that just plays all the races, not as a Zerg main. I think Zerg was fine. I think TVZ was better for Terran. I think PVZ maybe was slightly better for Zerg, but I think that's more due to the maps. And I think on this patch, they are nerfing Zerg without giving anything back. Like they're double nerfing the Bailing, they're nerfing the Infestor, they're nerfing the Broodlord, and they're nerfing the Lurker. And on the opposite side, we get a plus 20, a minus 25 mineral buff to Ultras. It's not really, it doesn't really match the nerfs and the buffs. So I'm a little bit worried for next patch, especially in TVZ and PVZ as well. The double Bailing nerf will definitely hurt in both matchups. Um, so yeah, I think the overall buff nerf ratio is missing a little bit.
Hmm.
I'm not the biggest fan, I would say.
Fair enough. Why do you think Protoss players have struggled so much at like the highest levels of competition?
Well, I think one thing that the Protoss players lack a little bit is they're very predictable. Like I don't know, just most of them just spam the same build. And also, I think their late game is not that good, which hurts the game a lot. Because if you're not confident in late game, and then you have a timer on you, and having a timer on you is never good. I remember Stats was very good in late game. Neeb was very good in late game, so they had a lot of success. And also, I felt like a lot of the best Protoss players they retired. So I think overall the Protoss level kind of went down. I think MaxPax is very, very good. I think he's probably the best right now, but he doesn't play offline events, so I don't really count him. So yeah, I think the overall level kind of went down.
Yeah, I actually do agree with that a lot. I think not only did a lot of the top Protosses retire, but like I think the effect that that has is actually really significant on other Protosses, right? Because I feel like when you look at Zerg, when you look at Terran, a lot of the innovative names that have sort of been at the forefront of build order progression and overall strategy are still around.
Yeah,
Like Serral and yourself and whatever. There's so many names you can go through, but like Protoss lost a lot of those, especially on the Korean side of things.
yeah,
Like this hero and creator, but otherwise really not a lot of guys.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you think it's a play style thing? You think it has less to do with the balance of the game and more to do with Protoss players' play style?
Well, to be honest, I'm gonna be honest. Like playing TVP and playing PVT, I think Protoss is very, very bad against Terran. Like the options that Terran has in that matchup are insane, and the freedom that Terran has is a little bit too much. What I mean is, Terran has like 50 builds, and I'm not exaggerating. They probably have more for TVP, and their early game doesn't necessarily have to be good, but Protoss early game necessarily has to be good. So like if Protoss's early game is GG, like it I don't know, it kind of goes to shit, then the matchup is unplayable. But if Terran early game, it's not the best, then it's still quite playable for Terran. So I think PVT is yeah, a little bit unbalanced. But I do think that PVZ is fine. I think it was mostly due to the maps, and now we're changing the map pool. So yeah,
Hmm. Well, there you go. That's I guess time will tell. If you were in control of the balance patch and you could make a couple changes, what are the changes you would make?
Well, I would definitely remove the Cyclone remake. I think that is completely pointless and it doesn't make any sense because I felt like Cyclone was in a good place already. Like he was serving his purpose. I don't think it's a unit you need to mass. I think it's an early game unit that you need to get control of the map and to be safe. So it was serving its purpose. I feel like there's many more units that just need a straight up rework other than the Cyclone. For example, the Sormos, the BC, I don't know. There's a bunch. So I would remove that. And then I would remove the HP nerf on the Bailing because I think the +2 thing that it doesn't one-shot probes anymore. It's a good it's a good change. It's healthy for the game, but I do believe that the two combined is just too much. I think these two changes could significantly improve the patch just by itself. And then maybe I would nerf the Thor because I think the Ghost is not really the issue when it comes to late game because having Thors means that I cannot go Brood Lords. It's not because of Ghost, So if you have Thors and Ghost, I cannot go Brood Lords. So what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to try and break you. And that's where Ghost, are really powerful because they trade so well. So I think it just impacts the way the matchup is played by having, having the Thor so strong just impacts the match a little bit too much. Because then it's a fair, it's a fair match. It's a fair late game scenario if you nerf the Thor and I can have an even fight, or I could trade evenly in a fight. Right now it's not possible, so the win condition for me is I take one more base than you, but it's not really fair because if I can't take one more base than you, which is not supposed to happen, then I cannot win because I will never trade better than you. It's just that simple. So yeah.
What about the Thor? Is it like the range or the damage output or the splash?
Well, it's the range and damage. I think mostly I would nerf the range, just so in a way I could kite a little more, I could play around my spells more, because now if I try and get a Viper into Thor range, it just gets one shot before I can do anything. So yeah, I think it's just the range is a little bit too much.
Huh. Fair enough. Okay, so you made a video calling Serral the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
Why give him that title over somebody like Maru or Rogue?
Well, I think people don't understand that if you play against Serral and if you play against Maru and Rogue, it's just two, it's different things. Sometimes against Serral, most people feel hopeless. It's like you cannot do anything. This guy just plays in a way that he leaves you no opening. Like his scouting is perfect, his late game is perfect. So what are you really playing for? Meanwhile, someone like Maru and Rogue, they do a lot of mistakes. I don't want to like underplay them, but I think it's it's common knowledge that Maru has some weaknesses, Rogue has some weaknesses. Like Maru excels in late game, but his mid game is a little bit meh. He has very good builds, but sometimes his micro is lacking a little bit. And Serral doesn't have that. So for me, that I've played against all of them a bunch, it's just very easy to say that Serral is a GOAT for what he has achieved and how he achieved it.
Yeah, no, I don't think I don't think there's a real strong argument against Serral. But I think it's a fun debate. So like, do you think any active player, like let's say Serral retires tomorrow, do you think yourself or any other active player could challenge that sort of GOAT position, or do you think at this point in the lineage of the game it's not going to happen?
I think it's a little bit difficult because he had more time than me.
Mm-hmm.
I had to join the scene pretty late due to the age lock, and obviously I could have achieved more. But I don't know. I don't want to say I'm like contesting for GOAT yet. But let's say I win a one more Katowice and one GSL. I think I could be, I could be in the talks for it. I think it would be fair.
So you think a GSL would really help bolster your resume?
I mean, just people shutting up people, like they think GSL is the highest level of gaming, but they don't understand that Katowice and Gamers 8 are not even close. Like, and obviously I bumped in GSL first round, but it's just because I had a very bad day, and my hands were not quite working, and all it takes is one bad day to ruin months of preparation. So yeah, I would like to go and redeem myself and shut some people up.
But you had one deep run there as well, right?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, it was quarterfinal or semifinal?
It was quarterfinals.
Yeah. And that was pretty exciting at the time. Yeah,
Yeah, I was 15, I think, something like that.
Jesus. Yeah, I forget how young you are sometimes, man. That's crazy. I yeah, you've just been around for so long that it doesn't feel like that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm one of the veterans now.
Yeah, yeah, right. It's yeah, that's strange. um, so do you see yourself competing in StarCraft as sort of an amateur if the professional scene like goes away or gets smaller?
No, probably not.
Yeah, like if you
It's
can't
just
make a
not.
living in it.
Yeah, but it's also like the feeling, if I'm practicing 6 hours a day to play in online tournaments, it's not something I want in my life. I want the crowd. I want to win offline events. I want to, be remembered.
For sure. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, like I guess when meant like as an amateur, I kind of meant just like just sort of practicing maybe a couple hours a week and just like winning some easy money if the scene's small, that sort of thing. But like, but no, I definitely hear you. It doesn't, feel the same.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it just doesn't fit for me.
makes sense. Yeah, yeah. Um, have you ever been like really deeply involved in like any other gaming communities?
I play a lot of League of Legends at the moment, and I like following the scene. I think that's, yeah, I don't want to say I'm deeply involved, but I know what's up. Like if there's some drama or something, I follow the subreddits and stuff. That's pretty much it.
Would you consider yourself a pretty high level player in the game?
Well, I am master player,
Yeah, yeah.
so in League it's what, top 0.20%. I don't want to say pretty high level. I think I could do a lot better, but I want to say it's good enough for a hobby, pretty much.
Were you playing like how long ago did you start playing League?
I played when I was a kid. I a little bit, but I mostly just every time I was just playing for fun without having any idea what was going on, or like I didn't care at all. I started last year to kind of want to improve.
Um, do you feel like you could compete professionally in League?
Yeah, I think so. If I give it all, I think so. I
That's
just
pretty
need a little
interesting.
bit of time because I think like League of Legends is quite a deep game, unlike what most people think. It's easy to play at the beginning, but it's very hard to master because there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's a lot of concepts that are not talked about, and people that are casuals, they have no idea about. So yeah, it's a very deep game, so it would take me some time for sure.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, there's it's a gigantic industry around it. If it was really easy, anybody would do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, so I sort of starting to wrap up. What do you know about Zero Space? Have you followed the development of that at all?
No match. I got a message from Kat saying he wanted me to try it out, and I think I will give it a shot in the upcoming days. I saw like a couple of images, looked quite good. So yeah, I'm excited to try it out.
What about Stormgate?
I have seen some stuff of Stormgate, yes.
Do you feel pretty excited about it?
I am, yeah. Yeah, I would say I'm fairly excited.
Do you see yourself like transitioning to another esport and competing in the future?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I'm done competing yet. I think the fire is still there. As long
Yeah.
as the fire is there and I can do it, I think I'll do it.
What do you see yourself doing after your life as a pro gamer?
That's a good question. I don't know. I have no idea. I just want to do what I enjoy, and I don't know what I will enjoy in 10 years
For sure. That's a challenging
or
question.
longer. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have no
yeah.
idea. As long as I enjoy it, I will do it.
Yeah, how do you feel about that sort of argument that like as you get into your 30s, like you sort of lose a competitive edge? Do you think there's really something to that?
Nah, I think it's pushing a narrative. Like I don't know. Like the only argument you could make is that maybe you lose some speed, and that only matters in a game like StarCraft. And even there, you can, like Maru, for example, is not a very fast player. He's not fast at all, but he makes up for it. He does other things that make up for the lack of speed. So I think you can adjust. I don't think. I don't think it's pushed. Like I think it's pushing it. Saying that once you get 30, you're GG.
Yeah, yeah. No, I agree. I think I think it has a lot more to do with just life and environmental factors than it has to do with like physical ability to play the game. I think for a lot of people it becomes that like they get a more serious job or they get married and they have children and they can't focus on the game anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you're right. That probably makes sense. Um, but all right, I think we're about done. Any closing words?
Not really. Thank you for having me. And shout out to Basilisk and Red Bull. And shout out to all my fans. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And yeah, see you next time.
Sweet. Thanks for the time, man.
No worries, no worries. I enjoyed it.
Thanks so much for watching. If you liked what you saw, be sure to get subscribed, drop a like, and leave a comment down below. Until next time, friends.